My name's Paul Kragh. I'm a volunteer with Project Perch. Project Perch is a branch of the Audubon Society. And Project Perch, we deal strictly with the Florida burrowing owl. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go on a walk and we're going to see some burrowing owls. We're going to talk about the burrowing owls, give you guys a little background about the owl, give you some suggestions on the best times to see the owls, and then we'll actually do the walk. And in the future, you guys can go out and apply what you learned today when you go out owling. Owling is a word, it's a verb. Everybody knows an owl is a noun, but owling is a verb. That's what we do. We're owling. And like fine wine for the adults, it needs to be responsibly enjoyed. So we're going to go over how to responsibly enjoy the owls. The Florida burrowing owl is only found in Florida and a couple of the islands. If you Google burrowing owl, chances are you're going to find a lot of information about the western burrowing owl. The Florida burrowing owl is a subspecies. DNA is a little bit different. Our owls actually dig their own burrows. The western owls, they go into prairie dog holes or whatever holes they can find. They don't dig. These owls in January 2017 went from being a species of special concern to being threatened, that's not good for the owls, but they do have more protections from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the FWC. Ken, you want to take this? This guy here with the green band, he was actually living at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport. And when the airport expanded the runways, they took the green space away from the owls. So the owl colony at the airport was dying off. They went from a colony of about 70 owls down to 16 over several years. So we worked with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Florida Fish and Wildlife. The town of Davie gave us permission to use the West Ridge Preserve up on Nob Hill north of Treetops, and we relocated the colony of owls. David, if you guys want to just like take them around a little closer, sure, so that the guys can 6 inches or 6 feet apart, but he'll give you a closer look. If you see over here on your right, there's a bigger picture of a Florida burrowing owl and the eastern screech owl. The Florida burrowing owl is actually the second smallest owl in Florida. The screech owl is a little bit smaller, and the easiest way to tell them apart is that the screech owl has ear tufts. The burrowing owl has a rounded head, which is good because he's going in the tunnel all the time and he doesn't want to be bumping his ears on the roof of that tunnel. We work with the South Florida Wildlife Center. Whenever we have injured owls, we'll go out and we'll take the owl, we'll trap them, capture them, and take them to the Wildlife Center where the veterinarians there can nurse the owl back to health, and then we'll go and release them back where they were found. Project Perch, our mission is to observe, protect, and nurture. We spend a lot of time in the field watching the owls. Protect, create safe habitat for owls with signs, fences, and new burrows. When you go for a walk today and look, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the end of the pipe. You'll see a little bit of green pipe sticking up out of the ground. This is what it looks like before we bury it. We take 6-inch sewer pipe. We use sewer pipe. It's thinner than the white water pipe, and it's clean. It's never been used. And we cut a 14-foot pipe into 40-inch segments, and then we cut the bottom out. And it's important that we cut the bottom out, because when we attach it to the box, this is an irrigation control valve box. You guys have seen this in the ground. You take the green lid off and there's little valves. Well, this is the owl's home in the ground. We're going to bury this in the ground so deep it'll have about 6 inches of dirt on top of it. And then this pipe gets connected with zip ties to it. And then this comes up to ground level. So the ground level is right here. And in front, we put a bed of white sand. And the white sand will attract the owls to the burrow. When the owl flies at night to hunt, that sand is easy to see against the green grass. And owls know that sand is easy digging. So they're going to come to the sand. And then they're going to see this tunnel. And since the bottom's cut out, they don't have to go down on plastic. Now they're walking on earth. They're comfortable. If you're a burrowing owl and you see a tunnel, what are you going to do? You're going to go in the tunnel. So this owl is going in the tunnel, in the tunnel, in the tunnel. And then when he gets here, he finds this big apartment, this big mansion. This is way better than his house. So he says, wow, I'm going to move in here. If you notice, the back is cut out. We cut out the back, the owl will continue to dig. Burrowing owls like to burrow. They're going to keep digging. This tunnel will actually keep on going. It'll curve around one direction or the other. It'll meander. And it can go up to 10 feet. The female owl, when she starts to lay eggs, she'll start digging more and more, getting her nest ready. The owls will lay between 2 and 12 eggs, generally 3, 4, 5. When the female starts to lay, the male owl will dig a satellite burrow. He knows that this nest is going to be crowded and noisy. So he'll continue to hunt and he'll bring food up to her burrow, but he's going to stay in his man cave. That's the scientific name, the man cave. But he's a good dad. He always feeds the family. He brings food right up to the entrance for her. She sits on the eggs for 4 weeks. Once the eggs hatch, another 2 weeks, they'll start to come out of the burrow. When they're 4 weeks old, they'll begin to learn to fly. When they're learning to fly, Dad's taking more of the responsibility. You're apt to see the young over at the man cave more. Give Mom a break. By 6 weeks, they've mastered flight and they pretty much have learned mouse school. The owls are excellent hunters. They're insectivores mostly. They catch a lot of their prey, they have long legs. They'll run down their prey. That's one of the reasons we like to use perches in front of the burrow entrance. The owls can get a little elevation so they can look around close, and if they see a cricket or if they see a bug, they're able to run it down. But during the day, the owls mostly, if you see them out, they're right at the entrance. It's not safe for the owls to be out during the day because the hawks are out hunting during the day, and hawks eat owls. So the hawks rule the day, but the owls rule the night. The hawks aren't out at night. When the owls are most active, not at night, not at day. Owls are crepuscular. Who knows what crepuscular means? That means they're most active at dawn and at dusk, which for me that's great, because when I go look at owls, I don't have to go out in the middle of the night when it's too dark to see the owls. And I don't have to go out in the middle of the day when it's 100 degrees with 90% humidity. I get to go at dawn when it's comfortable and at dusk when it's comfortable. The best way to watch owls with binoculars. So every time I go owling, I always have my binoculars and I always watch the owls from a distance. Remember, these owls are wild animals and we want to keep them as a wild animal. We don't want to domesticate them. We don't want them to lose their fear of people. So we don't want to walk right up to the owl. The ropes you see around the burrows, the reason we have the ropes are for the lawn crews. So they don't bring their heavy mowers and collapse the burrows where they tunnel out the back side of this box. Or where there's natural burrows, the tunnels can be collapsed right near the opening even. So when you see the rope, that's not telling you it's okay to walk right up this close to the owl. No, no, no. The owl is going to have a lot of stress with that. And the last thing we want to do is to stress the owls. So when we do go on our walk, don't get any closer to the owls than I am. And the owls we see now, if somebody were to break away from the group and get up and scare the owl, that owl's going to run in and then nobody's going to see the owls for a long, long time today. So I'm asking you, please let everybody see and stay back. We have some volunteers that's going to be out kind of answering questions if you have any questions while we're out and keeping everyone back away from the owls. I'm assuming you all didn't bring binoculars because I didn't call you up and tell you, bring your binoculars today, but that's okay. You can see the owls. Chances are we're going to see a lot of owls today. We have a sign, please report burrowing owls, new unprotected natural burrows. In this area under the power lines, Rock Creek is awesome. I hear anytime there's new digging. This burrow over here was fairly recent. Within the last year, they called, Paul, look, we have a new burrow. So we came out and protected it. Where you see triangular ropes in the triangle shape, that is a natural burrow. Where you see rectangular shape, those are the artificial burrows we put in. When Project Perch installs an artificial burrow, we always do 2 at a time. That way we know where that man cave is going to be. So the male doesn't have to go and dig in a spot where we don't want him to dig, like in the playground. Sometimes they will do that. They'll dig in bad spots. This is the Project Perch sign that we used. We've got 200 of these already out and about in owl burrows. We had to get more signs. So we have a new sign. This is the brand new sign. This is bigger so you don't have to actually get so close to read what it says. And it's got some bilingual in it. And it explains to the landscapers at the bottom, it's line trimming only inside the ropes. And it's also no spraying. If you use herbicides or pesticides, it's very dangerous for the owls. Herbicides will poison the plants that the insects eat. Owls are insectivores, so now the owls are eating poisoned insects. We have cases where owls are taken to the South Florida Wildlife Center. They've been poisoned by rodenticides. People have problems with rats and mice, especially like in dumpster areas. So they put out these rat traps with poison bait. Well, the owls don't know that that rat has been poisoned and the owls will eat that rat or that mouse and now the owl will die. So if you're ever in a situation where you have to control rodents, rats, mice, don't use rodenticides. Use traps that capture them live. There's electric traps, there's live traps. It's much healthier for the owls to stay away from the poisons. This is an FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife sign. We use this sign when we think we're in an area that the owls may be in more trouble, like on a ball field. Sunday night, I was at a ball field with a dead owl, and we think the owl was killed intentionally so that the kids could come back and play baseball on their field. So I was there for a few hours with an FWC officer. We had to dig up the burrow, found a couple of eggs. So the harms, 10,000 for the male, 10,000 for each of the eggs. That was 3 harms. The female had to leave the nest because she can't incubate her eggs and feed herself. So it was really sad. When we have a situation where we think vandalism's possible, I like to use not only the Project Perch sign, but I like to put an FWC sign there as well. It's up to $10,000 fine per offense and possible jail time. If you have an owl that's in a bad location that needs to be moved for construction, or if it's just a field owl, the kids need to get back on the field, we'll pull a permit with the FWC. That permit requires mitigation burrows. We'll put in these burrows on site so that the owls have a place to move to. And then we'll put our cameras down the burrow, make sure it's empty, no eggs or flightless young. And we can excavate the burrow. The kids get their ball field back and the owls have a place to live on site. It's a win-win and it's done the right way. Okay, a couple of books that we are going to tell you about. This is a good book. When I'm in the school with the younger children, Buffy the Burrowing Owl, written by Betty Gilbert. We have signed copies of the book, and it's full of good pictures for the kids. And it goes through their diet, tells a story about a particular owl. So I highly recommend Buffy the Burrowing Owl. And then for the older kids, the adults, Betty wrote a book, Florida Burrowing Owls, Memoirs. And this is got great pictures, and it goes into more information about decorating. I didn't talk about decorating yet. Decorating's pretty cool. When the male owl is trying to attract a mate, before he gets to the man cave part, he'll go to a burrow or he'll dig a burrow. He can dig a burrow in 2 days. In one night, he can dig enough to get him in, and second night he'll finish it. What he'll do is he'll find scraps of paper and litter and trash, and he'll bring it right up to the entrance of the burrow. So if you walk by, you'll see this mess. And you'll think, oh my gosh, what a mess, I better clean this up. Don't clean it up. He did that to attract the mate. She's gonna think that's beautiful. When I was at this ball field at Westminster Academy, I was checking to see on a single owl to see if he had a mate. He actually had 5 lizards that he caught, little chameleons, laid out in front of the burrow for a prospective mate. The sun was going down. The park was closed. This place is huge. It's got 2 softball fields, a football field. It's got 2 baseball fields, tennis courts. It's got a lake, huge grassy parking area, and it's closed. So they gave me the key. I'm there at sunset. I'm the only one in this whole property. I have my little folding chair and I'm sitting back with my binoculars. I'm watching this one owl. The sun's going down and he starts calling for a mate. So now it's so eerie. Woo, 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 woo. And it didn't stop. It just kept on going. And within a few days, he actually had a mate show up. So that was cool. So if you ever see decorated burrow, leave it alone. I saw at Tamarind Park, we put artificial burrows along the lake. It was St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago. Somehow this owl got a hold of some St. Patty's Day decorations And he just shredded all this green stuff right in front of the burrow. And it was just like he had his own St. Patty's Day party. Okay, very good.